Evening, everybody. Just wait for some people to join. The word to get out there that we're actually going live. Hello, hi. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Karen. Hi, Susie. Hello. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Lorna. Hi, Claire. Hi, Chelsea. Hi, Aline. I'm going to try to say hello to everybody. This is just going to be an hour of me saying hi. Hi, Maria and Judith. I can't see everybody's names as you're joining, so I apologise if I've missed you. Hi, Jade. Hello. Hi, Carl. Hi, Hayden. How you doing? Hello, hello, hello. It's Thursday. It's almost the weekend. That's the news that I have for you. Hi, Rakesh. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Deborah. Deborah says she thinks she knows one already. Okay, Deborah. When we get to that one, tell me which one it is, because I'll be intrigued to know. Hi, Katie. Hi, We Wear Perfume / Amanda. / maybe tomorrow, but I'm thinking mostly Amanda. I don't know. Hi, Joel. Hi, Sean. Hi, MD. Hello, everybody. This is a good turnout already. Hi, Pip. I hope everybody has a drink of some form. I am hot chocolating again, because that worked very well for me last time. In fact, I talked so much I didn't drink any of it and it went cold. So I will be taking some sips as we go. So this is the kind of final reveal number 2 of our Essential Scent green box, excuse me. We've done part 1, which was A to D, and now we've got E, F, G, H. I really struggle with it because it's not the first part of the alphabet, it's the second bit of it. I get confused which ones we're doing. So E to H. I'm a Thomas, not a Tom. Never really been called Tom. Doesn't sit well with me. Is that a very unique looking alien bottle up top? Yes, that is, we call that in my house the mothership. I was very generously gifted that by Mugler. It is a 1 litre bottle of Alien, so it's filled with Alien up to the top, with Swarovski crystals and things going on the front of it. And it's really, really special. It comes in a gold briefcase, and I'm terrified that I'm going to drop it. And if I drop it, I will have to move house. Yes, I was hoping you all didn't miss me flubbing my words there, but you've all noticed, haven't you? I can't avoid it with you guys. It's okay. I apologise. Words sometimes tumble out of my mouth at about 1,000 miles per hour. My brain doesn't catch up. So what I definitely said was Essential Scent. So I don't think you heard anything else. Okay, hi everybody. We've got quite a few people here. I think I saw George joined. Hi, George. Hi, Babs. Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. This is our second reveal. This is the E to H fragrances. We're going to jump into this a little bit quicker than last time, because last time we did talk about everything that, all the reasons behind essential scents and all of the things about green fragrances, etc., which I think we've covered. So I don't think we need to do all of that again this time, but we will talk a little bit before we go in, because I want to get your general thoughts on this kind of section of the box. Okay, so thanks everyone for being involved. Thank you for joining. We've absolutely loved all the discussion in the group, and it's great you guys are just moving forward with it, as well as kind of responding to our threads. You're creating your own threads or your own thoughts. This is completely free. Even if you wanted to go back to some of the earlier fragrances that we were talking about from A to D, more than welcome to. It's all good fun. And yes, Susie, I completely agree. It's everybody and their filthy minds, and it's nothing to do with me. I am merely just the vessel for you all to project your filthiness onto. Okay, one thing that I said last time that is absolutely stands this time is that there is no right or wrong. Of course, you may guess the fragrance is wrong if you're making a guess. That is technically wrong, but it's not. It's not bad. Like if you smell something and you think it's got familiar vibes of something else, then that's cool. If you think there's a certain material in it or a note that may not be there in the press description, but you smell it, then it's there. There's no right or wrong. If you love it and someone else hates it and vice versa, that's cool. It's all cool. That's the whole beauty of this, is that we're kind of giving you an opportunity to smell stuff maybe you wouldn't normally get the opportunity to smell. and just explore it in whatever way you think is the best way to describe it. And that's what this is all about. It's all good fun. So please keep interacting in the Facebook group. Please keep sharing your selfies with your boxes or your samples. We love those. We like to see your faces. Great. So yeah, I'm just going to jump right in. But I do want to look back at some of these comments though, because I think a lot of you are saying you quite enjoyed this section. So Susie, you liked this kind of back end of this box, as did Amanda. Anybody else? Did anyone else prefer the first section, so the A to D? I think personally, if I were to choose the fragrances, I mean, I did choose the fragrances, but if I was to choose from the fragrances, I would say A to D would probably be my favourite section, because obviously I love Aura, I love Vetiver, I love Wander Through the Parks. So those are kind of a 3 out of 4. So I would definitely say I preferred the first section. F is a blinder, absolutely adore it. There's been a lot of love for F. People going a bit nuts for F, which is great. I love that. What's really exciting about this as well is you can kind of really see which ones people really, really love, which ones people kind of don't really have any kind of emotional reaction to. I think there's definitely one in this section where it's kind of everyone's a bit more muted response to it, and then the ones that everybody absolutely hates. So I think it's really interesting because you get a real diversity of responses. F is really, really great. I do love F. H I love. Yeah, they're all good. Cozy green for F, yeah. Fragrance B from the first section was really, really popular. Everyone seemed to love that, but you preferred the second section. That's cool, yeah. F for favourite. There we go. F is nice. See, all this love for F. I knew it would be all this love for F. So it's B in the first box that was the most loved, and then F, which is really, really interesting. Interesting. I wish I had a bigger beard. Right. Okay, you bought B. Amazing. Brilliant. And I hope you enjoy it when it arrives. B is beautiful. I mean, you can see B is right behind me, right up here. Pride of place. Okay, let's just go straight in and let's do fragrance E. So this is a first one. So what are our general impressions of fragrance E? I think this is one generally, the impression I've got from the group, and I may be utterly wrong, is that this is one that everybody's kind of been, yeah, it's nice, but I'm not overly fascinated or excited about it. So is that right? Is that wrong? Or have I just made that all up? Oh, someone else bought B. Hayden, well done. You'll enjoy that. B is amazing, to be fair. Would I steer you wrong? I would not. I would not. Okay, so we are doing now fragrance E. It's this one. And I've got my lovely box here. Isn't it pretty? So Joel likes E. Good. I like E. I picked E because I think it's a good example of a green facet in a fragrance that's a supporting act. So the main thing here isn't about greenery. It's just kind of an element of the fragrance that adds something to it and makes it slightly different. It's actually a woody fragrance. It's very, very woody. And the kind of subtle greenery in there kind of takes it a little bit more of an aromatic woody direction. So a couple of people saying it's quite sharp, it's citrusy, a little bit fleeting. Longevity was one we had lots of comments on. I think it's very, very soft, but it's also warm. It's quite an easygoing, affable scent. To me, it's something you could just spray on and wear, and it's not one that you're going to think about too much. It's not one that's going to grab too much attention, but it's going to be something that's very enjoyable to wear and still very pleasant. It's not unusual, but it's enjoyable. So we've got a couple of suggestions. Versace Eau Fraiche, interesting. I think I saw CK1 as well, somebody said earlier, which I think is quite interesting, because to me it doesn't read very CK1 at all, but I suppose there is that freshness that you get in the top of this. Amanda's saying it's pale, soft, dry down, mossy and sage notes. There's a warm red running through it. Yeah, it's very soft. It's very, I think it's kind of, it's elegant in a way because it's just so understated. Susie says she likes E, zingy and fizzy, and then woody and mossy. Gets a bit darker. Is it as good as a gift, Carl says? Yeah. Oily, moisturising feel to it. I'm going to spray some actually because I'm too enamoured by all your comments. Feel free to spray along with me if you're not doing so already. So I find this really, really spicy up top. So I get a lot of pepper, almost like it makes you kind of sneeze a little bit because it's so sort of peppery and spicy, but it's underpinned by this really lovely sort of muted citrus. It's not like a really bright, sparkling citrus. It's kind of a very subtle lemon note. I think, personally, if I were to kind of guess this and not know what it was, I would say maybe it's something Comme des Garçons. It has that vibe to it. There's kind of that nice, like, very solid wood facet, which I think is very Comme des Garçons. Cut leaves and spice, yeah. What else have we got? Foresty, yeah. Now we're somehow talking about sexy salads. Brilliant. Brilliant. I don't know how I would define a sexy salad. Probably a Nando's salad. Because that's that kind of spicy salad, right? So, what do we have? David says he thinks he knows E. You've sent Chelsea your prediction. Okay, we will rely on Chelsea telling us whether you are correct or not. I'm intrigued. Susie agrees she thought Comme des Garçons first, but I think it's Greenwood by D squared. Okay, interesting. I think in terms of comments we got from this in the group, it was a bit of a mixed bag. I don't think we had such polarising reactions for this. I think it was one that people felt was pleasant but not exciting. And it's probably not as innovative and unusual as the others, for sure. I agree with that. So Rena in the group said that it was really fresh and citrusy. We had someone else who said that it smelled like their E-Cover washing up liquid, which I thought was brilliant. I'm a big fan of that description, and that makes me like it more, I think. Maria said aromatic, fresh, and sexy skin vibes. And then I think it was Lisa or Liza said it was maybe CK1, which I think we've had a couple of times, which is really, really interesting. So for me, it's a very light, sparkling citrus. There's a prominent lemon note. There's soft, almost powdery cedarwood. It's quite generically woody, though. I wouldn't say I get full cedarwood from it. It could be any wood. Crackle of black pepper. I also, if I was to describe it, I would say I find it very Justin Timberlake Man of the Woods, if that makes sense. It's very plaid, but also very well-groomed facial hair. So, like, he's a man of the woods for this photo shoot, but actually he's never picked up an axe in his life. Which I think we can all agree Justin Timberlake hasn't. Not that I have any particular feelings about Justin Timberlake, really. So yeah, that's how I would describe it. So let's do a reveal, actually, because I think this one's going to be interesting. So, it is not a Justin Timberlake fragrance, but that would be quite interesting. I would smell that. Okay, so this one is Greenwood by D squared. So I think it was Susie was correct. Well done. I am wearing the right shirt. I did think I would go for a bit of Justin Timberlake vibes if I could. There you go. So this is Greenwood by D squared. It, most importantly, out of anything that you need to know, has a magnetic cap. I love a magnetic cap. Is there anything better than a magnetic cap? I don't think there is. Oh, Chelsea has confirmed that, Ben, you were correct. Well done. Well done. Well done. Brilliant. So this one I really liked. When it first came out, I'll be honest, I'm not a massive D squared fan. I find that their fragrances are very easygoing and nice, but nothing exciting. But this one took me by surprise because it's just so easy and pleasant to wear. I just think it's a really, really nice fragrance for a man. It's very casual. I love the fact that you've got this really nice kind of soft wood vibe, very, kind of very, very intense crackling pepper, and this kind of, this very subtle vetiver accord that kind of takes it in a green direction. So it pulls it from just being spicy woody into green. It's great. I like it. And like Chelsea says, interesting, a lot of females in the group are liking this one. Yeah, so it's definitely more woody than green. So Sophie's saying that she thought it would be a very green fragrance. Jade says she would 100% wear this. I think I've sold it to you all by saying Justin Timberlake. I think that's what's done it. It could go as unisex. Katie says I agree. I think because I'm getting Comme des Garçons vibes from it, I think totally unisex, because that whole range is unisex. And actually, there's a red wood of this, which is the feminine one, which is very fruity wood. But I think this is the more interesting one in the collection. So yeah. And did I mention it has a magnetic cap? So cool. I could do this all day. I love a magnetic cap. Okay, so just for clarity, number E, letter E, fragrance E is Greenwood by D Squared. And it's cool. There's lots of little details with this. This has got a, I don't know if you can see that, little maple leaf on the top, which I think is reminiscent of their Canadian roots, the founders of D Squared, which are Dean and Dan. Dean and Dan, I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, a lot of people saying they prefer D2 Greenwood to Redwood. I've read that a lot online as well when I was doing a bit of research around this. People tend to like that. Deborah saying all she could smell was lavender and it's nowhere to be seen. Interesting. I wonder if that's kind of, you're getting that from the aromatic side of the fragrance, because lavender is an aromatic note. This has got kind of an aromatic vibe to it because of the vetiver. So I think maybe that's where it's coming from, that you're getting that. So it's not wrong to be smelling lavender. And also, we don't have the formula in front of us. There's an interesting point to be made around notes and formulas. So the notes list is pretty much always a construct of a marketing department. So a marketing department is trying to tell you what's in the fragrance in a way that they know is more accessible for consumers. They're not giving you the full formula, because obviously that would be silly for them to do. And also there'd be so many things in it that you wouldn't, even I wouldn't understand, or anybody would understand, because they're all different names of chemicals and things like that. That it would just make no sense. So actually, there could be a lavender note in this. There could be lavender in there, and it may be in there to give a lavender impression, or it could be in there to boost another element of the fragrance or another accord. So absolutely, you're not going to see everything. And also, notes lists always have weird stuff in them. So sometimes they say things like black gardenia and, I don't know, like purple vetiver, and those things aren't real. So they just do, it's marketing. It's marketing. You'll never meet a Canadian who doesn't put a maple leaf somewhere on their clothes or bag. Yeah, I mean, the Shawn Mendes fragrance, if any of you have tried that, that has a maple note in it. So he went even further to display his Canadian roots by putting maple in the fragrance. There is no maple in this. Just whiskey. It's a joke. There's no whiskey. Should we do F? Shall we do F? Let's do F. Okay. F is the one everyone's excited about. How much is it? Very good question. I have got that written down. It is, for the 30ml that I've got there, it's £37. Very good question. Thank you very much for reminding me. And before I move to F, I also have a question for you like I did last time, which was, if this fragrance was a place, what place would it be? Where would it be? And you can't say Canada, because that would be cheating. So I'll leave you to have a think about that. If this was a place, what place would it be? Where would it be? I know where I think it would be. It's Justin Timberlake's back garden. Obviously. Obviously. Any suggestions? If E was a place, where would it be? A forest? Yep, totally get that. New Zealand, somewhere like Lord of the Rings. Yeah, because of that, like, kind of, all the, like, the Fangorn Forest. My Lord of the Rings lore is not very good. But yeah, Fangorn Forest, like all those rich trees, very verdant. Vancouver or Seattle. Yeah, somewhere very lush or green. Hollywood with Justin, obviously. Obviously. That's where we all dream to be. The Rocky Mountains, yeah, I like that. So we're going for like rugged, outdoorsy, the John Lewis Garden Department. Yeah. Because there's lovely sort of nice wood tables and chairs, etc. Yeah, so maybe some fake grass in there. The year that this came out was 2019, so this is from last year. I do have that in my notes. Sorry, I will remember to say the year and I remember to say the price. Shanghai. Oh, interesting. I wonder why Shanghai. Interesting. I have been to Shanghai. I did a small layover in Shanghai for 3 days. Really cool city. The e-cover factory. Okay, and I think on that note, we can move on. So let's do F. F is the one that everybody loved. There was a lot of positive feedback around this. And what I loved is people seemed to think that F was really uplifting. And I think that's really, really exciting, that everyone was just like, this makes me feel happy and it transports me to a different place. And honestly, we need that right now. So I loved that about F, that people were just really going for it. Some of the descriptions were so vivid. Some people were saying, it takes me to different places, it makes me feel happy, and it's great. So F is a really lovely fragrance. I picked it because it has a really naturalistic feel. And if you remember when we spoke last time around green fragrances, they are fragrances that take from nature. So they take elements of greenery in nature and put them in perfume. And sometimes they do that in an abstract way and they try and sort of make them not smell very natural. But I think this one smells so natural. It tries to replicate nature. And I think that's seen in some of the comments. It's really just so juicy, it's so multifaceted, and it approaches green from really many different angles, and that's what I think is exciting about it. It's kind of spiky, but it's also sweet and juicy. It's got some stickiness to it. There's a really beautiful vegetal kind of tomato leaf facet, which is, I think, quite unusual. But then you've got sweet figs, maybe a kind of a hint of rhubarb, so it's a bit tangy. But overall, it's not heavy. It's very soft and airy and breezy. So it's just such a multifaceted fragrance. I think you get so much from it. And I can see that here. You know, Deborah saying it's like summer in the Mediterranean. It's cut grass we've got from Hayden. Beautiful. It's gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. I'm going to spray some because I love it. And I'm getting carried away with talking. So good. How can you not like that? What I really love about this most, though, is the spikiness of it. And you almost like feel, you know, when you touch the kind of vine of a tomato and it's a little bit spiky. I love that. Yes, it's slightly greenhouse-ish. It's like you're walking into the warm air of a greenhouse and it's just filled with greenery. But it's almost, what I like about it is it's almost vegetal in a way, which is really unusual. And you wouldn't think if I said that to you, you wouldn't think it's a very pleasant thing, but actually it is. So really lovely comments about this one. Christabel said it was a spritz of happiness. Pip called it sharp and fruity. MD said it smelled like fig. We saw lots of comments about mentioning fig. Bab said it smelled like green tomato vines, but she also called it hazardous as well, which I thought was exciting. I like the idea of something being hazardous. I think some people found this to be quite strong, whereas others found it to be quite fleeting. For me, I feel like the vibrancy of this doesn't last very, very long. Once it goes and all that greenery, stickiness and sharpness goes, you're left with a very lovely soft musk. Alice said she was desperate to find out what it was because she'd almost finished the tester. So, I mean, what more of a endorsement can you have than that? So what do we think of this one in general? What's the thoughts? I know people love it. I'm seeing some people say they didn't like it. It was kind of musky, grassy, a little bit too intense. Marissa, you got an Hermes vibe from it. Interesting. Yeah. I think there's some overlap with the Joie d'Hermes. I think maybe because there's that kind of that rhubarb note in there. I get a bit of joie from it. Absolutely. Deborah doesn't like it. Deborah, you're not the only one. Absolutely. There were some people who didn't like this one as well. Celery and salt from Susie. Interesting. Yeah, it's got that crispness of celery, hasn't it? Almost that wateriness. Interesting. I love all these comments. Cassis, yeah, it's kind of that blackberry, blackcurrant type thing. Great as a candle. Yeah, I think this would be lovely as a home fragrance, actually. Amanda says there's a patchouli note, lasted ages on her skin. It's grown on you. Joanne. Carl says you don't like it, but you don't know. You like it, but you don't know if you'd wear it. It's definitely, I think it's like, Susie's made an interesting comment about it being a bit more old school. I think it's kind of a mix. It's kind of old school in its style, but modernized, because I think there is these like kind of real sticky, breezy musks in the base that make it that little bit more modern, rather than it going, because if it was classic for me, it would go much more floral, much more mossy, resinous, but actually it goes very kind of airy, musky for me. Right, so shall we reveal this one? Because I think this is the one that we're quite excited to do. Okay. Yeah, I think that's interesting what people are saying about it being better as a candle. I think that's actually around what kind of fragrances we individually would like to smell on ourselves and smell in our homes. Because I know absolutely there are fragrances that I would love to wear but wouldn't want as a candle, and vice versa. So I think that's quite an interesting concept. Okay, are you ready? Drum roll, please. I will take a dramatic sip of my hot chocolate. Kind of X Factor reveal style. Leave dramatic pause. Okay. So this one is La Foy by Miller Harris. Interesting because F seems to be the most popular one in this section of the box, and that's Miller Harris La Foy, and B, which was Miller Harris Wonder, seemed to be the most most well liked one of the first set of the box, which I think was just interesting that there's that parallel. So this came out in 2013. This was part of their Perfumer's Library collection, which is actually a really lovely collection, which it celebrates individual notes from kind of perfumery. So there was a jasmine, a tuberose, a cèdre, so it's in a cedar wood, which is heavenly. I could talk about the cèdre for days, but I'm not going to, because that is not part of what I'm doing here today. This is a really lovely, fresh, aromatic green fragrance that I think is really unusual, because you have all of that beautiful kind of juiciness up top. It's kind of a bit figgy, it's a bit rhubarby. Then you've got this gorgeous greenery element, which is tomato leaves and galbanum. And galbanum's that kind of sticky resin that we spoke about last time, that's used often in fragrances like number 19, etc., to make them smell very, very green. And then it's kind of a little bit mossy, a little bit musky. But actually at the heart of this fragrance is a really lovely rose accord, which I think just kind of pushes out some of those juicier elements of the fragrance. So it's a really, really beautiful fragrance. I found it fascinating that a lot of people were saying that they felt this was a little bit more masculine, and they'd love to smell it on a man rather than on a woman. And I think that's quite interesting. I think possibly it kind of takes on a different spirit in either gender. I think on a man it can be quite smart and elegant, whereas on a woman it feels a little bit more casual. I think it's just really, really beautiful. It's sticky and juicy. I'm actually going to spray some on my skin because it's just heavenly. It's just hard to smell this and not feel happy. Who saw the Double Trouble Miller coming? Brilliant. Yep, Double Trouble. George says, interesting one. Smelled it before, like a kitchen table with lots of fresh herbs, fruits and leaves. Yeah, and somehow wearable. All of those things I would think would be like, oh, that's not very wearable, but they absolutely are. They work well together. I'm just scrolling back through the comments. Sophie, I'm starting to like this brand. The fragrances are very real, if that makes sense. Yeah, so what I think Miller Harris tries to do is try and have a naturalistic approach to perfume. So they try and create fragrances that are derived from nature, but also that tell stories. And I think you have to have a little bit of abstraction in perfume, because whilst, the smell of tomatoes is gorgeous, and the smell of figs and things, we've got to make it into a way that is wearable, because I personally don't want to smell like a tomato. I don't know about you, but so I think they do that really, really well, that kind of mixture of abstraction and kind of naturalism. So it's a really beautiful brand, and everything's presented really well. I like this collection a lot because I think everything's presented so nicely. You get this really gorgeous sort of thick card on the front, and then this kind of a beautiful design on the back. It's a little bit hard to show you, but there you go. So this came out in 2013. It's 100ml size, eau de parfum, I believe, for £170. But it would last quite a long time. It's just absolutely gorgeous. What can I say? So this is La Feuille, which is leaves. So La Feuille. It looks like it says Le Feuille, but it's La Feuille. Yeah, now I've said tomato leaf, I can't smell it. That's the power of suggestion, you see. Packaging is really, really beautiful. So this is La Feuille by Miller Harris. I think I've read a description of Miller Harris fragrances that smell like candy. Do you know which one? So there are a couple that I think that could possibly be. Brighton Rock smells like rock, as in stick of rock, and like sea, so that like sea spray, so that could be one. Scherzo is a very like candied roses, candied flowers, and then oud smoke is bonkers but interesting. And then maybe also Blousy, which is kind of like a strawberry rose. So maybe either one of those. So a couple of them there that could be that. There's a few. Scherzo, I think, is Miller Harris's bestseller. And that's a really interesting fragrance. Just trying to go back through comments, make sure I'm covering everything. Bottles are gorgeous, packaging is beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Never tried Miller Harris, but my faves are B&F, so I'm very intrigued by them. See, there you go. That's the best thing about this, because if it's a brand that you wouldn't necessarily go to as your own brand, then we've helped you discover something new, and that's all we want to do with this, is to kind of get you trying things that you wouldn't necessarily try. Sue says rose is interesting, wouldn't necessarily spot that. Shows how many roses can be used in different ways. Yeah, absolutely. That's what's lovely about roses, it's just so versatile. Deborah's impressed with the quality of fragrances you put in this box. Thank you so much. I'm really, really glad. I think that's just brilliant feedback. Thank you. Pip says, I don't think Miller Harris is as good since Lynn Harris left. You love Fleur de Sel. I think it's changed direction a lot. I think actually they've got some really, really beautiful fragrances that I think, you know, we might be covering some more as we go. But I wear them a lot. I mean, I've got quite a few behind me, and I just think for really well executed, easy to wear fragrances, they're brilliant. Okay, so let's move on, because I think we want to talk about something else. I will leave you with my final question, which is, if F. Lafoy was a fabric, what kind of fabric would it be? Any ideas? Catherine says, you definitely captured the perfect notes of the box. Thank you very much. It's been really fun curating the boxes, actually, because we get to look through our collection and think, well, what isn't, you know, how can we show the many different elements of this family or factory family in 8 fragrances? And it's just so amazing how you can show so much just with 8 scents. So we had silk, floral cotton dress, chenille, gingham, leather. I really like gingham. I think that works really nicely because it's something very summery picnic about it. So Amanda's saying it's a brand I often send perfume newbies to. I like the stores, the stuff is great, and the fragrance is good. Yeah, I think it's one of those really great kind of accessible niche brands, like a really good first step, because there's nothing, they've got 1 or 2 things that are a bit bonkers in there, but most of the stuff in there is not going to be so far out of your kind of olfactory experience that you'll be like, huh, what is this? It's really easy and great quality, and that's what I like about Harris. Denim. Yeah, we're all waiting, Amanda, for your fabric for this one, because we know you are the fashion queen. Denim. Yeah, I think denim's really good for this. Crumpled linen suit. That sacking you get in garden sheds in a good way. Yeah, like kind of like a Hessian, maybe. Sue says a really, really fine woven wool that drapes well and is good for all seasons. That's all we're looking for in our wardrobes, really, isn't it? Shot silk, lemon yellow, Chinese cocktail pajamas. Perfection. And muslin. Brilliant. Great. Let's do G. I'm really excited about G. I'm so excited about G. Is everybody else excited about G? Or is it just me? Is it just me? So let's move on to G. Let me just grab my G here. So what do we think of G? I think this one's going to be a bit of a surprise. I think this one was a bit more divisive than some of the others. So I think, and also what I thought was fascinating about this one, when the boxes first came out, initial impressions were, not really keen on G. And then a couple of people came back and said, I really didn't like G, but now it's grown on me. And I think that's really, really fascinating about this one, is that people have spent time with it and it's kind of grown on them. So Katie says G is her favourite. Brilliant. Deborah, not really. It's quite sweet. Okay. Chelsea says it's a memory and a half. With every spray I can smell my nan's cigarettes and see her rosary beads rocking back and forth in her red micra. Iconic. That's an iconic image. She sounds amazing, Chelsea. It smells like dupe. Aniseed. Becky says it's her overall favourite. So interested to see what it is. Candle wax. Sue says it feels really familiar. Yeah. G stayed for ages. 2 days later, I could smell it. G has grown on Lisa. It does dry down better. Interesting. So Rich says it's really familiar. These are really fascinating comments. So kind of general consensus is G grew on me. I really love G, or I'm not keen on G at all. And it lasted a long time and it feels very, very familiar. So this one is quite retro. I think we got lots of people making comments about how it was retro. A lot of people found it to be quite masculine as well, which I thought was interesting. This scent launched in the mid-90s. So we're talking sort of 1994. And it shares a similarity to Aura. And Aura was fragrance A from Thierry Mugler, in the sense that it evokes a green paradise that feels synthetic. And the idea about this fragrance is it's entirely a fantasy. So it's none of it is meant to smell natural. And that's what's really interesting. So back in the 80s and 90s, that was more of a trend where there were lots of cool synthetic materials and people were looking for artifice. They wanted things that were completely unreal. And that's what this fragrance is. It's a green floral. It's a very heady bouquet with greenery. I think it feels much more 80s than it does 90s. To me, I would put it in the 80s rather than the 90s. So I think it's a really fascinating fragrance, deliberately synthetic. The tagline for this was Le Parfum Défendu, which is the forbidden fragrance. My French is terrible, so please don't listen to me. And I picked it because I think if people knew what it was, they may overlook it. I think if I said which brand this is and which fragrance, you would probably never smell it. So I think that's what's really interesting. So I'm just going to go back over some of the comments. So it reminds me of my Spanish aunties in the 70s. They always smelled divine. I love your aunties. They sound brilliant. Floor polish notes on the dry down. Totally get that. G has weirdness. It's green, peaches and fuzziness. Yeah. Cool. It's okay. It's cloying. You like the dry down, but you can't wait that long. Fair enough. You don't need to be patient with it. That's fine. Friendly, nostalgic warmth. Definitely got a polished aerosol kind of thing. Okay, brilliant. We had lots of very, very similar comments, actually. So Aline described it as cologne-like, calling it a bit grandad. That's cool. Joanne said it was one of her all-time favourites. Jade said she could smell Parma violets, and it was her least favourite. Someone else said it was medicinal. Then we had Maria who said it was fruity, marzipan-y and green, which I thought was quite interesting. And then MD liked it, calling it masculine. So there's loads about this fragrance. It's just really, really interesting. And I think also we're getting lots of comments from people about really like synthetic things. So we've got like Germaline and Dettol and polish and things like that. And I think that's part of this fragrance being deliberately synthetic. It's meant to smell completely unnatural. So, do you want to know what it is? Do you really, really want to know what it is? Okay, I will do the reveal. This fragrance is Eden by Cacharel. And this came out in 1994. It was by a perfumer called Jean Guichard. And it's a fantasy green floral that was created with the intention of smelling synthetic. It's a very interesting concept. It's green, but it's evoking a place we've never been to. And if you watch the advert, and I would suggest you maybe do this, go onto YouTube after and just Google Eden Cacharel, YouTube Eden Cacharel advert, and you'll see the advert. And actually, maybe also if you look at the Aura advert, you will see a similarity of a woman naked, because that's a perfume advert, of course. People don't wear clothes in perfume adverts, because why would they? They're wearing perfume. Anyway, moving on. They're very similar adverts. It's like walking through this alien forest, blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of trying to evoke a place we don't know. It's very synthetic feeling. It's got very vivid fruit notes up top, a lot of peach. There's some pineapple in there. It's quite juicy, but also almost like those fruits are kind of sort of shot with Vaseline on the lens. It's a little bit fuzzy. It's not kind of that full HD colour. It's a little bit pastel. It feels very rich and unctuous, a kind of oily and thick, and it's quite powdery as well, I think. You've got like that aldehydic floral before moving into this kind of mossy balsamic base. It's cheap and cheerful. This is not an expensive fragrance. I think it sells 30 mils about 25, 26 pounds. And the bottle is really, really unique. Cacharel has always had unique bottle designs, and the bottle itself feels synthetic because it kind of feels almost like Bakelite in a way. So I just think this is fascinating because I think this is a fragrance that I think a lot of you may know and may love, but if you didn't, you may not pick it up. And I think that's what's really great about Escentual Scents, is we can get you to try stuff that you wouldn't normally. Let's have a look. Joanne has vintage bottles which smell different. That doesn't surprise me. Fragrances are reformulated over time. That could be because licenses change, some materials but no longer become available. Brands may decide that they want to make things slightly cheaper, so they cheapen their formula, or there may be some regulatory changes that mean certain materials are no longer allowed in the amounts they're being used in, so they have to be replaced. So the fragrance will have to be reformulated. So it's very unusual for fragrance to smell exactly the same for forever. It will change. And also, if you look at some fragrances, if they use a lot of naturals, That is then dependent on harvests. There's a global vanilla shortage, so that causes different problems with using natural vanillas and things. They become very expensive, etc., etc. So, yeah, absolutely, probably would be reformulated. Lisa used to sell loads of it in Debenhams. You can't believe you thought it was Mel. So, that's the blind sniffing for you. Memory of the 90s served you well. Susie knew it. Would never have guessed that in a million years. See, is that Pugsy in the background? Most likely it probably was. What's going on? I wish the Miller Harris was that cheap. Wouldn't that be a wonderful world? It's Becky says it's the powder I like and so cheap. Tonka bean in the base is supposed to be an aphrodisiac. Ooh, okay. Brilliant, interesting. I think this is a really, really cool fragrance. And I think what I like about it is actually, because not many people wear these fragrances now, because they are older and we're always obsessed with newness. I love that you can go back and just wear something a bit retro that no one else is wearing. Okay, we've got fashion advice from Amanda. I'm pausing to read this. This is your Uniqlo puffer jacket in Encel pistachio green, isn't it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Or maybe a sweatpant in that shiny, stretchy fabric that pulls. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it is. It's kind of deliberately synthetic, deliberately bright, deliberately challenging, I think, in a way. And the bottle is so cool. Look at that. Okay. My question for you is, if this fragrance, G, was a famous musician, who would they be? So if Eden was a famous musician, who would they be? I'm intrigued to know what your answers would be. I will wait patiently. Oh wow, they used to give free gifts and used to have a picnic hamper from Cacharel Picnic Hamper. Brilliant. That's like the famous Aramis umbrella. Hot Plastic Vibe, yeah. Brian Ferry. Marianne Faithfull. Dolly Parton. Yeah, because it's all like big hair, isn't it? And big wigs, big hat, etc. Britney Spears. Tom Jones. Interesting. Shakin' Stevens. Interesting. Tina Turner from the 80s, yeah. Madonna. Yeah, maybe Madonna during her Ray of Light phase, when she's trying to be all like Earth Mother. Someone with teal eyeshadow and a lot of hairspray. Yeah. Yeah, it's like very Duran Duran Rio album cover to me. Liberace, rather fake and over the top. Yeah. Shirley Bassey. Yeah. Elton John. I love that your imagination just runs wild with you guys when we talk about this. So that was fragrance G, and that is Eden by Cacharel. That launched in 1994. It's a bit of a cheapie but a goodie, and it's £26 for 30ml eau de parfum. Brilliant. Such a great thing. Kate Bush in shiny green dress and bouffant hair. Weird but comforting. Yeah. Paloma, Madonna. Carol Decker from T'Pau. That's my favourite. Only because China in Your Hand is a bop. Let's be real. We're not going to lie. China in Your Hand is a bop. Okay, we are moving on to H, which is our final fragrance. This one was much more popular, I think. How many stars would we give this one out of 5? So this is H. This is the final one. Carl, you cannot say it's Liz from Atomic Kitten. I have to put my foot down somewhere. That's not allowed. Not allowed. There was only Kerry Katona. We don't know who anyone else was in Atomic Kitten. So we've got 2 5s already, but we've also got a Not For Me, another 5, another 5. Lots of 5s. 4 stars from Susie. 2.5 from Sophie. So kind of half marks there. You impressed by my maths that I can do half of 5? I actually am, because that's not like me. Maybe 5. Carl, Susie, make your mind up. 4 or 5. 4 from Lisa. Deborah thinks she owns this. 3.5 from Amanda. Okay, so we're at the upper end of the scale. We're kind of 3.5, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to spray this one when I talk. So I like this one because greenery isn't kind of the central theme here. It is more of an accent of this fragrance, but it still feels quite green. But if we're talking about green as a colour, we have kind of obviously a spectrum of colour for green. Aura is kind of your vivid neon green, which was A. And I feel like we've ended on our palest green here, which is a almost transparent green. Like, it's only green if you really, really look at it. It's very, very light. Deborah's saying, and she's shouting, I'm going to be gutted if it's not the one I think it is. I've got them all wrong tonight. Well, Deborah, I'm rooting for you. No, I like the capitals. I like the passion, Deborah. I like the passion. I'm hoping you get this one right. This is an iconic fragrance. It pays homage to one material, which is iris. And iris is a fascinating material because it comes from, not from the flower, but from the root, from the rhizome. So what they do with iris is they dry out the rhizomes over a number of years, the roots, until they're dry, and they ground them down, and you get something called orris butter from it. So it's a very, very expensive material to use naturally because of the process. And because of that, it's a very gloomy, powdery, vegetal material. Actual iris is very grey smelling. It's quite aloof, a bit standoffish, very Mrs. Havisham. It's very grey. But what this fragrance does is it focuses on the freshness, but also the powdery element of it and the mineral facet of it. So it tries to make iris feel modern, and it's such a luxe feeling fragrance. It's so diffusive. It's very fresh and watery. And the green here comes from a touch of galbanum, I think a little bit of vetiver as well. And it's very soft and suede-like. So it's a very powdery, diffusive fragrance that feels very easy to wear, very, very easy to wear, very wearable. It's very luxurious, very diaphanous. It's kind of, you know, just, you're kind of in it, and it's like dripping off you like a, you know, silk gown. And it's also very diffusive, so you have a big cloud. You exist in a cloud of this, which makes iris more of a statement here than in other fragrances. So there were a couple of comments around this. Sian said it was peaceful and she could smell iris. Sophie said there was a green tea vibe. Nicola described the fragrance as having a paperiness, which I thought was really poignant, because for me, iris definitely smells like fresh sheets of white paper. And I think that really emphasises that in this fragrance. And Nicola also described it as sparse. We also had one comment where someone said it smelled like petrol or engine oil. And I really agree, there is something in this that is a little bit petroleum-like. It's a very kind of sharp, high-pitched element. So, do we have any guesses for what this might be? Deborah saying that she wore tons of it when it launched. The other Deborah is saying, I asked for this for Christmas from my in-laws and they bought me a food steamer instead. That is just unreasonable. I would be having words. Susie says, this is sexy in a way wearing a freshly pressed man's white shirt is. Absolutely. So we've got a few guesses. Green tea, number 5. Yes, I think that's interesting, Carl, that you say number 5, because it certainly has an aldehydic fizzy character. And obviously number 5 does also have iris in it as well. Yeah, it's very exciting. We've got Prada. It's Prada. We've got some very definite answers here. Okay, Prada Infusion d'Iris. Well, I can confirm that you are all wrong. It is not what you think it is. It is not a Prada. I'm just joking. Of course, it's Prada Infusion d'Iris. There you go. Can we, first of all, talk about how adorable the 30ml bottle is? Isn't it so dinky and cute? I love it. I love Infusion d'Iris. I'm going to show you that with one way of proving that. These are the 3 bottles of Infusion d'Iris that I own, because I love it that much. Amazing. Rakesh says number 5 is 100 years old this year. Yes, not absolutely to diverge, but that bag has got the number 5 anniversary 100-year centenary coffret that I just got sent by Chanel, which is very exciting. So yes, 100 years. That was just me showing off. Air Punch. Okay, so we had some people that are very happy they got this right. We love a 30ml. This, look at this. It's so cute. Look at it next to my big face. It's tiny. So, Infusion d'Iris, let's talk. This came out in 2007. It was by perfumer Daniela Andrier. She is the kind of in-house, unofficial in-house perfumer at Prada, which means that she's working in other places, but she does all of their fragrances. It was a massive launch for Prada. And what they've done is they've used this as their signature for their house. If you smell a Prada fragrance, you know it's Prada, because this iris benzoin fizziness that we get from Infusion d'Iris is the signature. So what they did with this is it was a really big launch. They dug out a classic bottle from their archive and repackaged it. It's got these wonderful bits of paper on it, these kind of on the cap and then down the side. They had beautiful imagery created for it. There were soaps, linen waters, scented notebooks, all sorts of things. And the whole idea was very exquisite textured luxury. And textured is a word that I use because I find this fragrance to be so textural, because it's very, very powdery and light. It's like a mist, almost like a very, very fine powder, but it's also watery as well. And so I think it's just texture everywhere in this. And it makes Iris modern. It's fresh and fizzy with neroli and citrus up top. Then it's got the mineral, powdery, soft iris that's not vegetal, because iris can go very carroty, very turnipy, very rooty. But this kind of keeps it just mineral and fresh and kind of sparkling. And then there's a kind of touch of greenery from galbanum and vetiver, just a strand, like a line of that running through. It's just transparent, watery, powdery, incense, benzoin in the base. It's just such a beautiful array of textures. It's like stepping through a fine mist, and I think it's gorgeous. And as I say, I have 3 bottles, all in different sizes. I just need the 200ml size now, and then I've got all 4 of them, and I can line them up like a little Russian dolls, because I'm sad. What I think is really fascinating about this as well is that it's such a translating accord that they've created so many other fragrances in this line. I've got quite a few of them up here actually. So there's a rose, there's a mimosa, a mandarin, an huillet, which is carnation, a fleur d'orange, so orange flower, an almond, and there's also the men's one. We saw this on the group, a couple of people talking about Infusion D'Homme, which was the men's one. That's now repackaged as Infusion Iris Ced, so Iris Cedar. It's gorgeous. What do we think about this one? So I think we got lots of people saying some things about this. Whole Infusion line is fantastic. I agree. I wear it all the time. I have 3 bottles of Infusion de Riz, blah, blah, blah. Amanda thinks it'd be Prada Candy is bestseller. Ooh, interesting. I don't know whether Chelsea or Karen can chime in terms of anecdotally what we find is the bestseller for Prada. Candy is a really interesting fragrance, but I'm not going to talk about that now because I'll just go on a tangent. I like to think they named Candy after me. In fact, I tell people that. That's actually true. Chelsea says Iris everywhere, yeah. Sylvanian family style bottle. Look at it, so cute. So cute. The Candy line is your favourite, yeah. Isn't there more behind me? Yes, there was. Eileen, there's some Pradas here. So I've got, this is the Iris Cedra. There you go. Anyway. What we're not going to do is turn this into a Thomas shows off his perfume collection video, because we will be here for weeks. Love the way you say huillet. Yeah, I don't know if that's actually the right way of saying it. I think that is huillet. Orange version is lovely, yeah. Almond is very sweet. But they all have this inimitable signature that is this Prada Infusion de Riz. You can smell it and go, that's one of the Infusion series. And I think that's clever perfumery. Oh, Chelsea say Prada Luna Rossa. Is that the bestseller, or love the dry down? Can I remember the women's Prada Amber? Yes. I do. Here it is. Lovely, lovely Prada Amber. I also like the Prada L'Homme as well, if you're looking for a more masculine take on this style. Yeah, I think we still have the Amber. I think we do. I mean, again, Karen and Chelsea can confirm, but I'm pretty sure we do still have the Amber. I've seen it on the website. And the men's Amber as well. Prada is a lovely brand. I think there are a few brands that are in the mainstream that you can smell the fragrance and know it's a X fragrance. And I think that is Chanel. I think you know a Chanel fragrance for the most part because they have such a signature. I think you can smell an Hermes fragrance because they also have such a signature as well. And also Prada. I think Prada has done really well to create that signature. Is that the Caroline Hirons skincare book? Absolutely. This glow doesn't happen by itself. This is the Caroline Hirons induced glow. Thank you very much. Prada's Karen says yes to Amber. Fantastic. Thomas, do you worry about storing your perfumes out on shelves like that in terms of them turning? No. I think it would be a shame to keep them in the boxes away. I just keep the blind shut in the day so that there's no light that gets on them. That's what I do. Yeah, I think that's the best way. But obviously keeping things out of light and in cool environment is the best way to do it. Love the Hirons. Yeah, we love the Hirons. Also, it's a perfume brand where the fashion and the scent are on par in terms of quality. I would say so. I would say so. Kind of like Gucci. I feel like the aesthetics are kind of linked nicely. I think you can look at a Gucci fragrance now, their newer stuff, and be like, that feels very Alessandro Michele. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful brand, and I think these bottles are just so well presented. It just feels luxurious, and it's easy. You could wear this fragrance anywhere. You could wear it daily. It's a great day fragrance, but also you could wear it at nighttime going out wanting a statement fragrance. That's what I love about it. Deborah's gone on and bought the dinky one. It's so cute, isn't it? It's so cute. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great size to start with. What I find, my way of doing things now is, because I have a lot of perfume, is I always buy the smallest I can, unless it's one I love, for the first time, and then I'll know that I'll if I love it and I use it all, then I'll buy the biggest. Gucci's better now. It was awful. Yeah, absolutely. So I think their fragrances have really done a about turn, with things like Bloom and Memoires d'une Odeur, the Gucci Guilty Absolute for men and for women. Some really cool stuff. Yeah, this is a great size for commuting because you can chuck it in your bag. So that's what I like about this range, is they do this from 30ml up to 200. They used to do a 200. I don't know if they still do a 200, but even the 100ml, which is this one, is a relatively small size, as is the 50. So they're great. I love them. I love the Prada. So if this was a colour, and you cannot say green unless you say a variation on green, I want you to try and see if you can think of other words for green. What colour would Infusion d'Iris be? What would it be? Deborah says, I want the amber now, you enablers. We are terrible enablers, and we are not apologising for it. We're sorry, but we're not sorry. Yeah, so what colour would this be? You're going to buy the 100ml once you've made your other half a nice cup of tea. Good idea. Yeah, Alberto Morillas does the Gucci fragrances now. He does a lot of interesting work with them. Pistachio. Yeah, I think that's a good one. A light greyish blue. Yeah, I agree. I think it's that colour. Mint ice cream green. Yeah, brilliant. Love that. A bit of Gino Ginelli mint chocolate chip ice cream. Apple mint. Eau de Nil. Oh, we do the 200ml. Interesting. We do have the 200ml. Fab. So if you really love this and you drench yourself in it on the regular, I would have a litre of it. Very light grey, cloudy sky, light blue, duck egg, pale avocado, like those bathrooms from the 70s. I really want one of those pale avocado bathrooms. In my head, it would look fantastic. But without carpet, because obviously no. Lilac, champagne, lilac-y blue, beige, a good beige, a Kelly Hoppen bag. Lilac, lots of lilac. So we've got lots of people saying kind of like light blues and greys. Once bought in a house with an avocado bathroom downstairs and a whisper grey, avocado downstairs loo and a whisper grey bathroom. Brilliant. That would be brilliant. I imagine that would look really great on Instagram now. Gino Ginelli. Do you remember Gino Ginelli? We used to love that. There was a little advert, wasn't it? Gino Ginelli. I won't sing, sorry. Lemon, interesting. Citrusy, very citrusy. So a lemon colour would make sense to me. Massive display bottles you only see in boutiques. Yes, Factice. So normally doesn't have fragrance inside, but those big display bottles are great. I think I've seen some there's some at Escentual. They've got some great big, I think Amouage Factices, I think you've got there, that are really cool. You want a peach bathroom? Yeah, I'd love a peach bathroom. We used to have a 70s avocado bathroom. They're a nightmare to clean, Thomas. Always slightly grubby looking. I know, but in my fantasy, I don't actually live in the house. I just come and look at it. You know, it's like the bathroom we don't use. It's like a show home. I want to live in a show home, and I don't. Tutti Frutti. Hayden remembers the jingle. That's because I sung it so beautifully. So I'm going to recap very, very quickly because I could sit here talking to you guys forever because it's just the best fun. So the fragrance E, which was the kind of woody green one, which makes sense with the name. Very soft, very easy to wear, quite casual, was D Squared Greenwood. Very Justin Timberlake Man of the Woods, as I say. Then we had F, which was La Foy by Miller Harris. Beautiful sticky green leaves, figs, tomato leaves, greenhouses. We had some wonderful descriptions for this. That's La Foy. Then we went from naturalistic to completely synthetic, and we had the beautiful, beguiling, strange, fascinating Eden by Cacharel, which is just a very green floral bouquet, but very old, very kind of retro and very synthetic. And then our last one, which was EFGH, was Infusion de Riz, which is this lovely diaphanous, diffusive iris that is watery, powdery, beautiful, gorgeous. And as Susie says quite perfectly, it would definitely be a Pharaoh and Ball colour. Absolutely. And you'd pay through the nose for it. Lovely. So, just to finish off, keep all of your conversations in the group going. I'd love to hear how you're experiencing things over time. You might want to revisit some of these fragrances again. Absolutely, and we can have a chat about them. Also, if you buy some things, let us know. What I'd be really intrigued to see is which ones you feel like you're really, really excited about. The February Discovery set, which is the Chypre box, is on sale until Monday. So you can still get that until Monday. And then we're doing the lives for those on the 11th of February and the 25th of February. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then the March Discovery box, which is floral, will also go on sale on Monday. So Chypre is coming to an end in terms of sale. So that'll end on Monday. And we'll start talking about that once they go out in February. And then we'll do the lives 11th and 25th of Feb. And then March is going on sale, which is floral, on Monday, 1st of Feb. Keep sharing your selfies. Keep your interactions coming in the group. It is so much fun to talk to you all about it. And I'm actually really impatient that I've got to wait till the 11th of February to do this again. It's really bad. I'm going to sit in this room with the lights off until that happens, because I don't have a life and that's what I want to be doing. My top is very D-squared. Yeah, it's not D-squared, it's Hollister. I don't have the D-squared money. Thank you for talking, you're welcome. What's your favourite and least favourite out of them all? Oh, okay, good question. Thank you for that, Jade. I would say B, which is just behind me. Wander Through the Parks is my absolute favourite from the box. Followed probably by Infusion de Riz, these two. I would say my least favourite, I would say probably Eden. I don't think I'd ever wear Eden. Whilst I find it really, really exciting and interesting, I just can't see myself wearing it. It's a little bit too heavy for me, so I don't think I would wear Eden. But I find it fascinating. So, who has ordered their February box? Who is joining us for Chypre? Who is joining us? I'll be excited to know who's gone for Chypre. Chypre. It's a horrible word to say, sheep. It sounds like sheep, but I can't say it properly. Oh, Deborah's just ordered the amber. Oh gosh, apologies. So Babs are looking forward to the floral and oriental box. Yeah, interesting. February reveal. So I'm looking forward to you all joining me. I think Chypre will be really interesting, and I'll finish off with this because I could keep talking forever. And great to see you all here for the Chypre. I think it's a really fascinating genre, and I think it's one that will be interesting for two reasons. Number one, I think that it's one that probably a lot of people aren't that familiar with. Two, it has evolved so greatly over time, and the selection that we've got shows you a really expansive selection of Chypres from all over the ages, and I think that will be really exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that will be 11th of Feb, and those are going to be coming to you soon, and then florals on sale on Monday. So I'm going to sign off now. I don't really want to go. This is great. If you still have questions, then we can have a chat in the group after. I'll put up a little picture like I did last time of the fragrances with what they were, just for anybody who's missed them, but also if you've forgotten, so they'll be there. And I will see you again very, very soon, but please do keep chatting. Hope you have a lovely weekend. Can't wait for you all to get your Chypre boxes, and I'm really sorry if I made you buy something. Bye. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.